What's going on, guys? My name is Rumble Skrash and welcome to the first video of a series of videos that I'm gonna be doing, which are gonna be covering all variations of the slasher team and are gonna be called how to beat B3 Law in the 6-man slasher team, Halloween Law in the 6-man slasher team, Shanks Crew in the 6-man slasher team. So all the variations, and also I'm gonna be talking about 8-man slasher teams and stuff like that. And what I'm gonna be doing basically, it's getting these 4 units and then just adding all the different variations of the slashers and basically telling you what are your best choices to use as an attacking team against this specific team. So in this first video, we're gonna be talking about this variation, the variation with B3 Law, which is one of the most common ones, but we're also gonna be covering the variation with Halloween Law, the variation with Shanks Crew, a variation, for example. These 3 are the most popular and powerful probably, but there's also other possibilities like the variation with Mihawk or some other stuff like that. So also some weird variation like one variation that I actually use a lot, which is this with the carrot and stuff like that, but I'm probably will include these weird variations together in a team, but the main variations I would say are the B3 Law ones, the Halloween Law ones, and the Shanks Crew, and maybe some other unit like Mihawk and stuff like that. For example, this team, I'm using it quite a lot too. So yeah, but let's start with this one. So first of all, before I start, what I want to mention and I want to say very clearly is that when I say how to beat these teams, I'm not talking about how to build a 100% chance counter to these teams, because these teams are all really strong and it's RNG. But I'm gonna be talking about your best chances and your best choices to go up against team. So for example, if you're in championship and you see this team in the defense, so that you will be able to know what teams you should be using or maybe not, and what teams have the highest chance to winning. Like now, if you're in championship and want to guarantee a win, probably don't attack a slasher team, but unless you are very certain or it's under level or something like that. But a lot of the times you don't have the choice and there's slasher teams everywhere, so you have to attack some slasher teams. So I'm gonna be telling you when to attack a slasher team, so for example positionings of slasher teams and stuff like that, and what teams to use. And there's a lot of possibilities actually, all have different win rates, but obviously you want to go for the ones that have a highest win rate. So yeah. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is that this is actually an attacking composition. So if you see this team in the defense, it's probably gonna be like that. So this is a very important thing, because I see a lot of people, for example, I do a video of a defense team and I test it as an attacking team, and then people put it in the defense like exactly like I was using it. So the order in the attacking team and defense team changes. So that's very important. The first spot, so here where Dofi is the tankiest one, so you want to put the tankiest unit. So translated into attacking team, for example, the unit that I put in the middle in an attacking team is gonna go in the first spot in the defense team. The units that I put in the third and fourth slot, second and fourth slot, are gonna be the second and third one, and the units that I put in the first and fifth slot in an attacking team are gonna be the fourth and fifth one. So I hope that is clear. So normally you should be seeing slasher teams like that in a defense. With this particular order, you can see all kind of different variations. Like people use, I would use something like that. I do not use slasher teams in the defense team, but it's normally what you say. So this is only logical because Doflamingo is actually the unit that has the highest base defense stat. So it's normal to put it in the spot where they take the most damage. Also, Roger is the second unit that has the most defense, and it's normal to put him in the second spot. So once I have mentioned that, let's start talking about some counters that you can, I mean not counters, but teams that you can use, and that you at least you're gonna be able to predict a little bit what's gonna happen. So first of all, I'm gonna mention some possibilities that you can do, but it's not like really the best things to do. You can go just do a mirror match and just rely on RNG. If both of your units are maxed and you have the characters limit break expanded and stuff, it's probably gonna be RNG, so at least you get a 50-50 in general. So yeah, I mean, you can do that if you want, but obviously it's not really that interesting to go with the same exact team. Now, another option that you could do is use, for example, one of the defense teams that, for example, that I posted, but some defense team that you create that you see that as an attacking team works against the slasher. And normally these defense teams have a little bit over 50% win rate, so you can always use them as an attacking team. It's not gonna be the best, so it's not gonna be like you win every time, but you're gonna get some wins. So there's another. This is another option that you could do. Out of all of the defense team that I have posted in my channel, this one is the one that I think works the best. But definitely you can do some other stuff. Now let's talk about variations of the slasher team against this slasher team. So basically, variations of the of this fifth unit that you can go up against the variation with V3 law. So this is gonna be a quite common thing. For example, if you go up against a variation of Shanks Crew, probably you want to try another variation of the slasher. So it's not a counter, it's just like which slasher team works the best against another variation of the slashers. So there's the different options, but let's start with the first one. Now, this is, I would say, it's against the variation with B3 law. It's definitely the first option. Well, not the first option, but one option that I use quite a lot. Now, the thing is, positioning here in mirror matches is really, really important. So, I would only use this team if you see that there's a Dofi. Sorry, I have to find it. If you see that there's a positioning like that, if there's a Dofi and probably if there's a Roger in the second spot, so these two units are the important ones. The last three ones, they can be switched around and it won't make that big of a difference. But the Dofi in the first spot, it's very important for the calculations that we did with that team of Carrot. So basically, if you see this variation of the slashers with a Dofi in the first spot and probably a Roger in the second spot, then you can use this Carrot team. And in general, I would say 80% of the times the Carrot is going to be activating in second 90 or second 91. You can guarantee that by the calculations that we did. Now after that, there's one RNG factor, which is what units does Carrot target. I have had some times that she actually targets all the units except for Roger, so Roger doesn't activate before Odin. Kind of unlucky there, but it can help a lot. For example, with getting Dofi to activate really earlier than he would, so that you have extra defense to tank even the special of Odin, if the enemy Odin activates first. So you can still lose. It's a RNG, mostly if the Carrot misses or by some weird factor Carrot doesn't activate at second 90 or 91, which is her first attack. Now that's the reasoning why only attacking slasher teams which have Dofi in the first spot is because by the calculations that I have done, the fact that there's a Dofi in the first spot turns as a consequence that Carrot will be activating in second 90 or 91 by the order of attacks. And if that is changed, it could also happen, but I have seen a lot of times that Carrot activates a little bit earlier or a little bit I mean, if she activates a little bit later, it's okay. The problem is if she attacks a little bit earlier. And if she does that, then she's not going to be attacking for another, I don't know, like 12 seconds or 10 seconds. And it's going to be kind of irrelevant at that point because the order of attacks will have already activated. And the important part is getting, for example, your Dofi to activate in the second attack that he does. And if your Carrot just completely misses, it's going to be difficult for that to happen. So, but also for the Odin, the same goes for that. So, yeah, this team really, really powerful. I really like the chances of this team, but it's only against a certain composition of teams. So I would say if you don't see Dofi and Roger in the first spots, then don't use this team. Now the second option that we have, it's actually Halloween Law team, because I think in terms of offense, the Halloween Law team variation and the B3 Law, so the 1-0 Law variation, are really, really similar, and they work in a very similar way. They are probably the two most offensive teams in terms of slasher teams. So it's kind of interesting to see how they perform against each other. So I have done the calculations. Unfortunately, this current block, Cerebral have speed up level 3, and it's really unfortunate because Halloween Law has then is Cerebral, so he has a speed up level 3. So in terms of the calculation, that makes Halloween Law attack before the Kizarus, and that screws up a little bit my calculations, but I have calculated it as if that buff wasn't active, and if that is not active, normally I will be showing you guys the calculations that I have done. And normally the Halloween Law variation should work, or at least when I say work, is the Halloween Law should be activating before the Odin, so should be special binding the Odin. After that, it's kind of difficult to say. I have had some times where my Odin gets special binded, but the units are really low health, and just the special of Kizaru kills some units, or the special of Roger, and stuff like that. So it's still RNG, but if you want to guarantee the Halloween Law to activate, then you should attack this team with the Halloween Law variation, but only again if there's the Dofi or the Roger in the first spot. If this is changed, then that will not happen probably. Now I will show you the calculations of this Halloween Law versus 1-0 Law, and after that we're gonna be talking about other teams that are not slasher teams that you could be using against this team. So here I am at the calculations of this Halloween Law versus B3 Law team. Now, as you can see, I am here in the notes of my phone, and I have written down all of these calculations. But as you can see, these here, there's some words that are in red because of the corrector. It's translating in my language. I have tried to get rid of that, like maybe add the word into the dictionary or anything, but I do that and it just pops up red again. So I don't really understand why that's happening. If someone knows, then I would appreciate it, but as I said, it's not working this add to the dictionary, but I don't really know about that. So I hope that it's not very annoying for you, this red word. So yeah, as you guys saw in my video where I talked about how to predict a PvP match, which was basically predicting a match of their slasher team with Raid Mihawk against the slasher team with 1-0 Law. But in this case, we want to try to figure out if our Halloween Law will activate before their Odin, which is probably gonna be a very deciding factor. So that's what we are basically set our minds to do. And here I have written down all of the stats, so the speed, the defense, because maybe we will calculate some damage, and the CT when I have also counted the special CT up that every unit has, and the different teams have different special CT up. So basically one thing I want to mention is that when the CT number, when it's above 0.5, it will go up, and when it's below 0.5 or 0.5, it will go down. So basically, for example, the Roger will charge the special in 25 seconds instead of 24.6, but the special of Halloween Law will charge the special in 20 seconds instead of 20.5. So that's one thing that you want to keep in mind when you want to exactly try to figure out if a unit is going to be attacking 1 second later or not, and that can be actually a deciding factor. So yeah, I have counted all of the speed of the slashers, so basically the speed up level 11 from Roger and Kizaru, but also as the we are using Halloween Law, we are giving speed up level 8 to Int, so that's 40 speed. And also I have counted that the enemy Dofi is getting debuffed by our Wano Law. So the speed is calculated like that. I think there's no mistake there. That there might be, and our team, it's very similar in terms of speed, except for the Dofi that doesn't have the buff of the Halloween Law, but also doesn't have the debuff from Wano Law. So the numbers are there, and our side units have a lot of special CT up, and I have also counted that. So my Roger is gonna be charging in 21 seconds. My Roger is gonna be charging in 21 seconds, and the enemy Roger is gonna be charging in 25, as I said. So basically, how we predict a match, I have explained that in that video that I mentioned. I will link in here on top if you want to check that out, because I explain in more detail how am I basing the calculations and why the certain numbers of normal attacks and everything. So but as a quick summarizing, because you'll probably be able to watch this video without having watched that one, the numbers are the seconds of the normal attacks, and every animation of a normal attack lasts for 3 seconds, and there can be 2 normal attacks at the same time. So basically what that will mean is that the first normal attack starts at second 100, the second one starts 1 second after, so second 99, but then the first normal attack animation has to end before the third attack can start. So that's why there's a gap of 1 second there. There's no attack at second 98, and the pattern just follows up. It's just two numbers in a row, and then you skip one. So it's a 199, you skip 98, 97, 96, you skip 95, and so on and so on. And one thing that I want to keep in mind is that this works at the start, because when specials start getting activated and everything, an activation of special doesn't last for 3 seconds because the time clock stops. So then the numbers in the late game can change. The numbers of the attacking of normal attacks. So yeah, basically how it works is that the unit with the highest speed will attack first, then the second unit with highest speed. So it's very easy to comprehend. But one thing I want to mention is that against mirror units, so I have an Odin with the same exact speed that the enemy Odin, so the attacking team has the priority, so my Odin will attack first. The same goes for any other unit in that particular case. If both were to attack and one has higher speed than the other, the attacking and both have the same speed, the attacking unit will have a priority and will attack first. So the first attack that we're gonna be seeing is the Odins, by the way, are the units that have the highest speed. Then there's the Roger, and in terms of attack, it's the opposite. The Rogers have the highest attack, and then the Odins have the second lowest attack. So my Odin is gonna be the first one because he has priority, and it's gonna target the enemy Odin, because the Odin targets the enemy with the highest speed. So that's already very important. We get the enemy Odin delayed, and my Odin has attacked first. So second unit to attack would be enemy Odin, but he just got delayed because he got targeted by a normal attack. So it's my Roger, because my Roger has priority over the enemy Roger. So my Roger attacks, and his attack pattern is targets the enemy closest to him. That's why it's very important that we are targeting a team that has Dofi in the first spot, because otherwise these calculations would not make any sense, because my Roger would be attacking another unit and then everything would change. So here my Roger targets the enemy Dofi at second 99. Now after, the enemy Roger hasn't been targeted or anything, so he hasn't been delayed, so he's the unit that should be attacking. The enemy Roger targets my Dofi because I too have my Dofi in the first spot. Then at second 96, the next unit with highest speed is Kizaru, in theory, because as I said, in block A now we have a cerebral buff of speed up level 3, and unfortunately enough, as you can check, if you add 15 speed to the Halloween Law, it will actually surpass the Kizarus. So that will mean that this block, Halloween Law, attacks before the Kizaru. So that changes all this whole calculation. But as in the championship, this buff is not active, and Kizaru is, and none other unit apart from Odin, which is already the unit with the highest speed, will have a speed buff. This will be a useful video to have. So yeah, in this particular block, things are a little bit different, but in a normal situation, my Kizaru, because he has priority over the enemy Kizaru, will target the enemy Odin. And why is that, you will ask? Because Kizaru targets the enemy with the highest attack. Now, as I said, the enemy with the highest attack is actually the Rogers, but my Kizaru cannot attack the enemy Roger, because the enemy Roger is just attacking. So that's why my Kizaru will target the enemy Odin. But the enemy Kizaru that will go after will target my Roger, and that's because my Roger will have already finished his normal attack, so he will not be attacking. So my Kizaru, so the enemy Kizaru can target my Roger. So that's a little bit the pattern that you should be looking for when you're trying to calculate by yourself some of these matches against any two teams. You should take into consideration that, like, if a unit is attacking, watch out not to say that another unit right after it's going to be target the unit that was attacking, because it's not possible. So he's going to be attacking the second unit with highest attack in the case of Kizaru, or in the case of Odin, then second unit with the highest speed, or in the case of a normal unit, the unit placed in the second spot. So yeah. After the Kizarus that have just targeted my Roger, my Halloween Law is the next unit with highest speed, will target the enemy Roger. And why is that? Again, because Halloween Law also, as Odin, targets the enemy with highest speed. And as I said, that is Odin. But if you check, the enemy Odin is being targeted by my Kizaru at second 96. And the animation of the attack, it's still not finished at second 93. It's just barely finishing, but when my Halloween Law starts the attack, he counts the enemy Odin as being attacked, so he cannot attack the enemy Odin, because two units cannot attack at the same time at the same unit. So my Halloween Law goes for the next unit with the highest speed, which is Roger. So Halloween Law targets the enemy Roger. Now, here we can put a stop for a moment, and we can just think about the enemy Odin hasn't done a single normal attack yet, and it's been already 7 seconds. But as you guys saw, at second 96, he got targeted, and so he got delayed. So if he's continuously getting targeted, he's still not attacking. So probably my Odin will do the second attack before the enemy Odin does even the first one. So that's why it's very, very important to separate when you're using an attacking team or a defense team, because of the priority of the units. So you cannot test a team and saying how it will perform in an attacking team when you're going up against them, if you know what I mean. So a team will perform in a very different way, the exact same composition, the exact same positioning, in mirror matches, if it's an attacking team or in the defense team, because the attacking team has the priority, and that changes a lot. So sorry about that stop. So the next unit with the highest speed is the enemy 1 Law, so B3 Law, and his targeting is like closest unit to him. And as my Dofi did not get targeted for a lot of time, so for 6 seconds, he can actually target my Dofi again. So my Dofi hasn't attacked either yet, but it's not his turn yet, and he is continuously getting delayed. So yeah, now here some RNG could be a factor, because if when the enemy Roger attacked my Dofi, he did a knockback, for example, maybe the enemy 1 Law would not be attacking my Dofi again, because the Dofi would not be the unit with which is closest to him. But yeah, in general, the knockback is 5% chance, so it shouldn't be happening. So you should be okay with that. So 1 Law targets my Dofi at second 91, and the next attack is going to be at second 90. And here, it's 10 seconds after the first attack of my Odin, so my Odin is ready to attack again. And notice that the Odin targets the enemy with the highest speed, and that is the enemy Odin. So my Odin targets the enemy Odin, delaying him even more. So the enemy Odin hasn't done a single attack, and my Odin has done 2. So that's why it's very different to use attacking and defense teams. So the enemy Odin should and really wants to attack, but is continuously getting delayed. So he's not gonna be even the next unit to attack because he just got targeted. So the next unit that, if you check at the order of speeds, the next units that should be attacking are the Dofis. Now, as I said, the Dofis, my Dofi has priority because it's the attacking team. But as you guys saw, my Dofi got hit at second 91, and the enemy Dofi got hit only at second 99. So that's not gonna be affecting there. So the enemy Dofi can actually attack, but my Dofi can't. So the enemy Dofi attacks first, and he targets Roger. And why does he target Roger? Because he targets the enemy closest to him, and that would be my Dofi. But my Dofi has just been hit, and the same thing that happened before, the attack animation hasn't ended because it's not been 3 seconds, it just barely been 3 seconds. So when the enemy when the enemy Dofi starts the attack animation, he will go to the second unit closest to him, and that is Roger. So my Roger will get targeted here. And now, another thing to keep in mind that as we go down and more down, it's more and more difficult to say if there has been a knockback or when will the unit be ready again to attack. So it's very difficult to calculate that. So we will be stopping in a few steps, but normally this is what will happen here. So at second, as we said, second 88, the Dofi targets my Roger. And then, as you guys saw, the attack rotation started again. So my Odin attacked again. So by that logic, the Odins are the first ones that should be attacking. The enemy Odin has been targeted, so he's not gonna be attacking. Then there's the Rogers, but my Roger has just been attacked. So the enemy Roger should be attacking now, and he should be targeting my Dofi. There's no problem with that because the attack animation of the enemy B3 low has already finished. So the enemy Roger will target my Dofi. That's probably gonna happen at second 87. Now the next unit to attack, it's kind of tricky because it's probably not gonna be the enemy Odin, because the enemy Odin has been hit at second 90, and it's true that it's been 5 seconds, so here there could be some discrepancy in the opinion. So, but as I have seen in some tests, probably the enemy Odin will not be attacking now because it's too early for him to attack because he has just been targeted like 4 seconds ago, 5 seconds ago. So probably it's not gonna happen, but it could happen. And the annoying part is that I don't have Halloween Law, so I cannot test it right now. And if I had Halloween Law, there's this cerebral speed buff that messes this whole calculation. So if you have Halloween Law and you want to test this and see exactly that is what's gonna happen, test in the block B, block C, or championship, because right now you will see the Halloween Law attacking before the Kizarus, but you can test that too if you want, and you will see that before the Kizarus the Halloween Law attacks. So as you can guess here, this moment is actually the most important moment in a mirror match pair of two different versions of two slasher teams. The order of attacks here in the second from 80 to 90 determine the order of attacks in the second from 70 to 80, which is when the units will have the special ready and will start activating. Now, in theory, like I know I have just mentioned that normally Kizaru doesn't the Kizarus do not attack right now before the Halloween Law, but in theory they should, because it's been 10 seconds, they are ready to attack again, so in theory they should be attacking again. So, but they have the special ready. So as I mentioned before, the special animation of the activation will not take 3 seconds, so it will mess up a little bit the seconds of attack. So that's where it's very difficult to calculate, but I would say that maybe probably some Kizaru should be actually activating at seconds 86 or 85 even, like both of them very close together, and in the middle or right after their activations, in theory the Halloween Law should attack. So that is the most important part of the match. So that can change the whole conclusion of this video, but in theory it should work out this way because the enemy Odin was just targeted. Now I have seen some cases where a unit gets targeted and for some reason he doesn't get delayed as much as in another situation, so that could have an effect there. I don't really still know yet the exact effect of a unit being targeted by a normal attack. I know that it's delayed, but I don't know how it works, if it's reducing a certain amount of speed momentaneously. So I mean, things can change a little bit, but here it's the critical moment of the match. The second, I would say 84, 83, it's the most critical one, because in theory in second 85, 84 the Halloween Law should be doing a normal attack, and if he does a normal attack he will target the enemy Odin, and that will mean that the enemy Odin will attack after Halloween Law in the next round of attacks. So that is very important. If the enemy Odin attacks first here, so first then Halloween Law, then probably it's not a good sign. But in theory, by my calculations, Halloween Law should attack before the Odin, so this would be a viable option to run against that variation. Also, if you see that that doesn't happen when you're able to test it outside of block B and stuff, and you have Halloween Law, you could try to switch around a little bit the positionings, because as you saw here in our calculations, the positions that mattered only in the case of the slasher teams were actually the first two positions only, and it hasn't been a lot of times where a unit has attacked the unit placed in the second spot. So for example, let me check. I think, yeah, targeting only the first unit, and here, yeah, because a lot of the units have like a target priority. So I think the only thing that, yes, in second 88, the enemy Dofi is attacking the Roger. So maybe you wanna play with that positioning and maybe put a unit in the second spot so that another unit gets targeted, and then a unit goes faster. And for example, if you put another unit, like for example like Kizaru, in the second spot, maybe that will mean that your Roger will not be delayed at second 88, will attack at second after this Dofi. So he will attack before the enemy Roger, and he will probably target the unit in the first spot, but it also depends on the positioning of the enemy team. So as you can see here, there's a lot of things that could change around a little bit. But in general, by these calculations, this should work out like that. Halloween Law should be special binding the Odin, and that will buy you a lot of seconds, because as you guys saw, a whole round of normal attacks. So the seconds that pass from a unit doing a normal attack from the next and to the next time that he does a normal attack is actually a lot of seconds. So that buys you a lot of time for your own Odin to activate before the enemy Odin. Now I have done these calculations with these particular variations, but you could do these calculations with other variations of a slasher team, and you could maybe switch things around so that it works. So this was just an example. It's not that the Halloween Law team it's the one that works the best against the Wano Law and the other ones don't. So you have other options. You can switch around the positionings. So here is the tricky part, but you can experiment that when there isn't the cerebral buff. So yeah. Now to finish this video, let's talk about some possible teams that you could use that I think are more than a defense team against the slashers. So for me, a defense team has around a 60% win rate, and a counter has more like an 80% win rate. Now, it's kind of difficult to tell if a team is a counter or not, and also it's not I do not consider it a defense because it does not look weird. Like, people see it and say, oh, that's a solid team. So that's why I was calling teams like that, or maybe like a defense team, because it looks weird. So people might be baited into attacking it. A team like this, I mean, probably you have seen this team, and I don't know, it looks kind of scary because it has 8 units. if you think about it, it makes sense. So it's a rainbow team. But before I talk about this one, I want to talk about some other variations of a rainbow team. This is a quite common one, the variation with Dofi in it. So for me, a rainbow team is, as I mentioned a lot of times, it's Roger, Rayleigh, and Shanks crew. And a lot of rainbow teams are using also Odin. So here the fifth spot is you can do some changes. There's variation with Dofi, there's a variation with Fukizaru, there's a variation with Luffy Sanji, with Stronghold Ace, a lot of different variations, even kind of an 8-man rainbow team, something like that, or with an Otama in the starting team. I do not like that because Otama heals the Rayleigh over 60%, maybe a variation with Kalgara and Nolan, with the Sanji, etc. So this one is actually a quite strong one and can beat the slashers, the slasher with B3 low, but it's some kind of RNG. I think if you have all your units, so here only 4 out of 5 are limit break expanded. So if you have, I think, the Dofi limit break expanded, I think your chances of winning are higher. So this team probably works really well if all your units are limit break expanded, and it's kind of a counter to the slasher team with B3 low, but still you can still lose. I have lost matches using this team against the B3 low one. And in terms of positioning, I have tested these, I have tested these, I have tested these. So like they all work in a very similar way. I thought like, oh, I want the Rayleigh in the middle spot. Sometimes he dies too early, so I thought like, oh, maybe let's put Dofi that he has higher base defense, and it still performs the same way. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to place. What is for sure, it's like Odin and Roger are 2 important units and are gonna be in the back, so that it's fine. In the defense, obviously, it's gonna be something like that, even. So yeah, this team works quite well, and I will maybe show now some clips of this team going up against the B3 low variation. But as I said, it's still some RNG, and you can still lose. I would say it's a little bit higher, the chances, as a normal defense team, so a weird looking team. But yeah, and here we have, I think, the variation of the rainbow team that should work the best. You need to have the units maxed and probably rainbowed. My Jack is not rainbowed and my Nekomamushi is not completely rainbowed. And also one other thing to mention is that instead of, for example, the Kalgaran Nolan, it would be better to use the Kaku here, or instead of a Sanji, to use the Kaku. This team is actually not mine. It was made by some people that I have mentioned in some of my videos. It's a group of people that are called the Jazz Corps, and some people in there created as a group this rainbow team as a way of a counter to the slashers. The person that actually talked to me about this team is actually a guy called Deep. So great shout out to those guys and to that guy in particular. So I have not been able to test it yet because it's not at its full potential because I don't have the Kaku, but yeah, great shout out to those guys. And basically this team is thought as tanking all the damage of the first round of activation of specials of the slashers, and then well, deal some damage to them with the fixed damage of Roger, the health cuts. So yeah, deal some damage to them, maybe even kill some unit, and then in the late game when you go very low on time, just overwhelm them with the damage when they have no defense. So PB Whitebird, Sanji, Kaku. This team is gonna be even better, and it's gonna go to its full potential with the release of PvP limited rare recruit Sova Mask. So when that happens, I'm gonna definitely be showcasing this team, because right now I don't have Kaku and I have tested this team, and sometimes I'm lacking a little bit of damage in the end game. So, but when I do have Sova Mask, I think it's gonna be working really well. So imagine, for example, this Sanji is the Sova Mask. Probably I would do some composition like that. And if you have Kaku, then definitely use Kaku instead of Kalgar and Nolan. So yeah, this team really works amazingly well, but I'm gonna be showcasing this team once we get the Sova Mask. But before that, I don't think I can showcase now because I don't have the Kaku. If you have the Kaku, definitely go test it. It works really well. And now I'm gonna be showing some clips of the Rainbow team going up against the Slasher. But as I said, it's still RNG. So I hope you found interesting, the calculations that I did with the Halloween Law team and stuff like that. I find it really, really interesting to calculate the outcome of the match. I mean, not the outcome, but to calculate when a unit will be attacking or not, and if a unit will get delayed. So that will mean that it will not be activating at a certain point. So I really found that really interesting. Hope you do think the same as me. But yeah, let's go see some clips of this Rainbow team. So here I have found a slasher team with B3 Law. We're gonna be using this particular positioning of this Rainbow team. So if you want to do the calculations that I did with the Rainbow team, then definitely you can do it. I will probably do it in the future, but I will probably do it when I'm trying to make a video about how to counter the Rainbow team and stuff like that. Now, as I said, this is kind of RNG. Probably if you have the Dofi limit break expanded, you have better chances at winning. But as you guys can see, the team is not very speedy. Now, granted, I have some speed up because of the block that is giving both Rayleigh and Shankscrew some speed. I don't think that makes that big of a difference, but yeah, we'll see how we go. So the Rayleigh is getting quite low, so that's actually kind of good because that means that we have a lot of defense now, and that normally doesn't happen. We get some fixed damage from Roger, which give us defense down, but we get the special of Shankscrew, which will give us defense up level 4 to all our units, and then probably now that we will reach under the 70-second mark, we will get now more defense. Well, we will lose the defense from Dofi and Roger, but we will win the defense of level 5 from the Shankscrew, so that's really good. Now, unfortunately, Rayleigh has died, but that means actually that we get a PvP Whitebeard fully max from the bench. So we get the activation of Roger, which of Odin, which is kind of unfortunate because completely misses on almost every unit except for Kizaru, and Kizaru is dead, so probably now we will lose because of that RNG factor. But you can notice that we are actually tanking quite a bit all the damage. They have now only defense up level 5. They are losing on quite a bit of HP. And we will get the special of PvP Whitebeard targeting these two units, and we will actually kill them. So as you guys can see, it's kind of really a lot of RNG. I mean, I would say this team is quite more safe against the B3 Law variation than the B3 Law is against this Rainbow team, because we are the ones that have the defense and can tank normal attack and stuff like that. They are the ones that are relying on RNG and stuff like that. So as you guys saw, I got the win. It was a fully max slasher team with a PvP Whitebeard on the bench. So as you guys can see, it's possible to beat that team. How do I know that it was fully max? Because of the combat power. The combat power was over 50k, so normally that means that the team is quite max. So yeah, but I could have easily just lost that match. So it has happened to me, like I'm in championship and I'm saying, okay, I gotta beat this slasher team, and then I use this team and I just get completely destroyed because of bad RNG. So yeah, just keep in mind that against slasher there's probably not a safe option. You're always risking a loss, but you can use some teams that will give you a better chance at winning than others. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these calculations and of all these options. If you have some other option that you think I have not mentioned, there's obviously a lot of different routes you can go for. You can use the variation of Raid Mihawk instead of the loss. I also like that variation a lot. So you can do a lot of good stuff, and obviously you can always use the variation of Shankscrew. And if you don't get bot RNG with the Roger and Odin activating first Roger and their Odin, then you should be fine. But it's RNG, so it's the same as we have mentioned in this video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you are interested in seeing, apart from all the variations of the slashers, some other not counters, but some other videos specifically talking about some Rainbow teams, some teams that you are interested in knowing how to beat because you cannot beat them, and you are wondering what team you should be using against them. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.